Hi, I'm Mike Beliveau, and today I'm back at Duelist Den. So today we're going to talk about accessories and gear. Okay, you're going to have to clean your flintlock rifle. Black powder needs to be cleaned. It needs to be cleaned soon. Now you can get away with cleaning it the next day, and I have done that very often. It won't rust in a day, but you don't want to go much beyond that, that's for sure. I like to clean them right at the range when I'm done shooting. So, what do you need to clean them? Well, first you're going to need some sort of cleaning solution. And there are commercial solutions available. You can buy them. And there are some solutions you can make. There's the famous Murphy's oil soap, peroxide, what the heck is it? MAP. Alcohol, peroxide, Murphy's oil soap mixture. A lot of people swear by that, by the way. And I can tell you it cleans very fast, but the peroxide is also kind of corrosive. So the idea of that kind of getting into the threads of my breech plug, I'm not really that keen on. But you can find online directions for making up that solution. I use a solution of ballistol and water. All right, I mix that 10 parts water to 1 part ballistol. That works very well, and I'm going to tell you, all you really need to clean your gun is water. Water is the perfect cleaning solvent for black powder, and it's all you need. Now I mix it with ballistol only because when the water evaporates, it leaves a thin film of ballistol, which is an excellent rust preventative, and it does not create sludge with black powder. So as far as oil goes, I also like to use ballistol. Ballistol is a food-grade, petroleum-based, paraffin-based, really. It's paraffin dissolved in alcohol and a bunch of other things. Product that the Germans developed in World War I to use on everything. Use on guns, use on leather. They use it to lubricate cooking equipment because it's food safe. It's just a really good product, and basically what it is, it's water-soluble oil. So most oil does not mix well with water. Ballistol mixes very well with water, and it's a great cleaning solution. Now, once you've got your cleaning solution, and by the way, the water, if you use water, it doesn't have to be hot, it doesn't have to be lukewarm, it can be stone cold. In fact, you're better off not using hot or boiling water. A lot of people do. And it might work a little bit faster. I'm not even sure it really does. But because it will take all of the oils right out of the pores of the metal when it's that hot, you'll get flashover rusting. So it'll rust really quickly. You need to get on it with oil very fast if you do that. So just cold water will work fine. You don't have to build a fire at camp. Just go for it. Okay, now to clean it, I've got a video where I show you how to clean with worms and tow. And tow are the fibers of flax. Right? I'm not going to do that here because if you're a brand newbie, you don't want to do it that way. Even though it's more historically accurate and it does a great job, you are more likely to be happy buying an appropriately sized jag, cleaning jag, to fit your gun. And you can get that at Track of the Wolf. Just buy it for your caliber and you'll be good to go. Okay, most of them are sized, you can get them 832 or 1032. Most ramrods are sized 832. So if you're not sure what you've got, get an 832. And if you're wrong, you can always buy an adapter that will adapt a 1032 to an 832 or an 832 to a 1032, right? Now, if you know what size threads you've got, obviously buy those. So if you know you've got a 1032 threaded ramrod, then definitely get a 1032 threaded jag. They're available in both sizes. And while you're getting your jag, you might also want to get one of these screw ball pullers. Very handy should you happen to do what's called dry balling, which is the bad practice of putting in a patched ball, without having put powder in first. And We all do it at one point or another, so in order to get it out, you're going to need one of these. You actually screw it into the ball with your ramrod, and then you pull it out. And it's a true PIA, pain in the you-know-what. So don't do it too often. But if you've got a jag, got some patches, got water or water and ballastol, you're good to go. You're all set for cleaning. Like I said, I've got another video on cleaning the gun, so I'm not going to show you that, but that is what you need to buy to get your gun clean. Well, you're going to need some way of carrying black powder around. And there are several options. Right, so I'm going to tell you the cheapest option is this one, where you buy a cap like this. This one happens to be homemade, but they sell these, Track of the Wolf does. And they screw onto your powder can, right? And then you can dispense powder from your powder can right into your powder measure and load your gun. And that's the cheapest way to go, and it works well at the range. It obviously does not work well in the field if you're hunting, but that'll get you going if that's the way you want to go. And I use them all the time at the range. Now, for in the field or just styling around, you will probably want to have a powder horn. Now, this powder horn is a custom-made horn that is made by Tim Sanner, who's an outstanding master hornsmith, and it costs a lot of money. You are probably not going to want to start off with one of these. Well, you may want to, but you're probably not going to start off with one of these. But that's okay, because there are plenty of other horns available on the market. So your best bet is to start off with either a production horn or a flask. A lot of the horns on the market today look kind of like this. They're made in India. They are relatively cheap. They look pretty good unless you know what you're looking for. I mean, if you're familiar with authentic 18th century horns, you'll see some things you won't like on here, but by and large, nobody's throwing you out of camp with one of these, and they're not too expensive. For just a little bit more, for about $80, you can get a horn like this from Track of the Wolf. Now, this is plain, right? It's not all carved up like the other one, but it's very authentic looking. Holds a good amount of powder, got the right color, and this will do you well. And that's like $80. And you could use this horn for the rest of your life, and you would be perfectly fine, and you would fit right into the 18th century. If you showed up at Fort Pitt in 1760, nobody would be looking at you funny with one of these. But if you don't want to spend that much money, you can get a flask to start off with. So this is a powder flask. This one happens to be full of 3F Swiss. I use this to charge my flintlock pistols. And, you know, it's got a spout, got a measure on it. I would not use that, but it operates off a thumb spring, and you can pour that into your powder measure and load up. So any one of these will do you just fine. This one's probably the least expensive option. The fine scrimshawed powder horn would be the most expensive option. And this one is, I would say, the optimal way to go. It's historically correct, and it won't break the bank. And like I say, Track has these, so well worth looking at them. Well, we are talking about flintlocks, which means you're going to have to charge the pan with priming powder. And you can certainly use the same powder you've got in your powder horn for the main charge, and I do that quite often. Those of you who've seen the channel have seen me prime with everything from 1.5F in a paper cartridge to priming powder. So even though you can use your main charge powder, you'll get better results if you use priming powder, which in our case is Swiss Null B or GoX 4FG. Right? So the trick is, how do you get it from here into the pan in some useful way? And there are a couple of ways of doing that. You can get a small horn and just put priming in it. Right? This is a fairly decent one. Some horns are made specifically for priming. This is made by my friend Dan Eschenhauer, Dan the Horn Man, and even comes with a little vent pick in here. And a lot of guys use these flat horns are very handy to put in your bag. I kind of don't like manipulating these as much as this next thing I'm going to show you, because you can get a device made just for priming your pan, and this is it. So the top unscrews eventually. Right, you can see we've got it filled with priming powder. Right, and the way it works is pretty simple. In fact, I will just show you. So you'd have the gun on half cock, and you just put this in the pan and you just press down, right? And it leaves a trail of powder in there. Quite handy. And drop the frizzen and you're good to go. All right, so that's how they work. Now, this particular one comes in two sizes. So we've got this size, which I think is really handy to use at the range. You're loading off the bench or something like that. But it also comes in a smaller size. And this is what I usually use in my bags. And, you know, this will get you through easily through a woods walk or through a paper target match. I mean, I never counted how many primes I get out of it, but I'm pretty sure around 20, I would say. So these are the ways that you can get powder from the can, right, to the pan. Well, if you're not going to spend time in the field, a range box is the best way to carry all of your black powder needs around in. But if you're going to go in the field, then you're going to need a bag, a shooting pouch. And you can spend a little or a lot for them. This bag was handmade by Pepe, and it is an excellent one. I've had it for, I don't know, 10 years now. Wears like iron. You can spend for a good bag anywhere from $75 to $200. But in the $75 to $100 range, you can find plenty of really good bags. And you can get much cheaper bags. They generally look cheap, but they do the job. I mean, my first bag I still have, even though it was as cheap a bag as you can get. And I still use it sometimes for different things. So I like a bag that's divided, either with a pocket or with an actual divider, so that I can divide things up. This one happens to have a little pocket in the front. I like that. I can keep my priming in there, and I also, quite often during matches, I can keep a bullet board in there as well, and be able to grab them both. So, kind of handy. But as I say, bags come in all shapes and sizes and all price ranges, but you really ought to get one if you're going to use it for hunting, or if you're going to do any sort of primitive stuff. If you're going to do reenacting, you certainly need to have one. But if you're going to go to rendezvous and you're going to do woods walks, you're going to be loading from the bag. It's just the way it is. And there are other primitive matches that require you to load from the bag as well. So pick one up and get used to it so you can find things in it easily. All right, you're going to need screwdrivers that fit your gun. And honestly, I know people don't want to go through the expense, but I recommend getting a good set of gunsmith screwdrivers, whether it's Brownells or this set. I can't remember whose this is. Weaver. It's a Weaver set. I keep this set at Duelist Den all the time. But you are going to be removing the flints, so you need to be able to get in there and unscrew that, because you got to change them. You got to be able to remove your lock to clean everything. Right, so you need a good fitting set of screwdrivers. And spend a little money and buy a good set. It'll be well worth it for all of your gun work. All right, there are a few things that you don't absolutely need to have, but that you ought to have. One of them, and I showed you this in the loading video, is a vent pick. Your vent can get clogged up with powder or fouling. It's a good idea to pick it between shots. All right, this is a commercial one. And this is one I made just out of a piece of 1/16 of an inch wire stock. I wear this one around my neck at events so that it's always there. I usually have one of these on the strap of my shooting bag so that you have it when you need it without digging for it in your bag, but have one somewhere. Bullet blocks, I think, are very handy. Now, a lot of people don't use them, but when I'm shooting a woods walk, I use these things all the time. Okay, what they are a pre-drilled hardwood block that you put a greased patched ball in. Right, so that's all this is. And when the time comes, you just put it over the barrel of your rifle and just drive it in with a short starter, and it'll go right in. For me, I like to use these on any load from the bag event because they save me the time of digging in my shooting pouch, pulling out a bag full of balls, right? Shaking a ball out in my palm, holding on to it, getting the patch out, holding on to that and lubricating it or throwing it in my mouth and spitting on it, all while trying to get powder in and juggle a gun around. And for me, it's just so much easier to just dump in powder, put this over the muzzle, wham it in with a short starter, and then drive it home with a ramrod. So Crazy Crow has about the best of these, I think. Crazy Crow Trading Post. When I do a woods walk, which can easily run 15 shots, it'll run anywhere from 10 to 15 shots, I usually load all of these up. And I just put them in my shooting bag and wear this one around my neck. And I can go through a whole woods walk and it's no fumbling. So that's kind of handy for me. The other thing I recommend you get is a range rod. Right, that's what this is. I'll try to get it where you can see the whole thing. I don't know if I can do that. But it's a steel rod, handle on the end. It's threaded to take your jags. So this has a cleaning jag on this end. And has a muzzle protector mounted on it. Right, you can buy these separately. This keeps you from wearing the rifling down at the muzzle of your gun when you clean it. Now, when I'm at the range, I use this for loading and for cleaning. And the reason I do that is because it's a lot stronger than the wooden ramrod that comes with your gun. Particularly if you should buy a Pedersoli or a Traditions gun. I've broken a number of those ramrods. So if you get a board that's real fouled and you get a ball that's getting stuck in there, you'll be able to get it down with this range rod much easier than you can get it down with your wooden rod. So it's very handy to have at the range. Obviously, you don't want to go carrying it in the field with you. But I find that for cleaning and for loading at the range, this thing is worth its weight in gold. And I have several of them. Once again, you can get them from Track. And that pretty much is what you need. I mean, little things that are handy. I'll just show you a few. You'll pick up more doodads as you're in this for longer. Right, that's just part of the deal. So this is the way I carry my balls in the field. And I know some of you with adolescent minds keep laughing when I talk about my balls. This is a ball bag. More humor there. It's got a turned antler end on it that allows one ball to come out at a time. Right, this is a little deerskin bag. You can buy these at events. You might be able to find them at Track or Dixie, but I wouldn't hold my breath waiting to find one there. But you can find them at most events. There'll be a sutler that sells these, or several of them that sell them. So, but you want some sort of a bag or pouch to carry your balls inside your hunting pouch. This is a Flint wallet. They come in a lot of different shapes and sizes. But as you can see, there are 3 pockets up here, and I've got a flint in each one of them. Right? Appropriately sized for the gun. And I'll tell you, you want to have a bag for each rifle you have. Because you don't want to go mixing and matching stuff. You don't want to have to dump everything out of there to, you know, to put your 45 caliber balls in. Or if you change over to your 50 caliber rifle, right, you got to take all this stuff out and put your 50 caliber stuff in. And you'll get out to the range and find out that you got something that's mismatched. You just don't want to go through that. So have a bag for each gun. These flint wallets are handy because you can put tools in them. Right, so what I've got in here are 2 screwdrivers for the field. Right, this is a simple forged one. And this one's actually a musket tool that I modify a bit. So it's got 2 different screwdriver edges on it. And it's flat and it can carry in my hunting pouch. And I'm able to always have a screwdriver with me if I need to change a flint in the field or I need to take the lock off for some reason. No problem. And it all goes in this nice little pouch. Right? You can get these at Track, all different kinds, but I try to have something like this for each rifle. So those are things that you'll want to pick up. You don't have to pick them up immediately, but they're things that you're going to want to have as you get into this. And that really concludes the segment on gear. That's what you need to keep your gun rolling. So that's what you need to shoot, clean, and maintain a flintlock rifle. Now, you might wonder, where are you going to get all this stuff? Because most of it you won't find at Cabela's or Midway. So there are really 2 options. You can go to a store near you that specializes in muzzle loading. Like near me, there's Dixon's and there's Fort Chambers. And if you get on the old Google machine, there may be a muzzleloading shop near you. But odds are there won't be, not in a lot of places in the country. So that kind of leaves you with ordering online. And there are some excellent sources. And I'm just going to direct you to 3 of them. The most venerable one of the bunch is Dixie Gun Works. They're in Union City, Tennessee. And they were one of the beginners of this whole muzzleloader revolution back in the 50s. So they put out a really good catalog. They've got a good online presence. And you can get a lot of the stuff we've talked about there. Another good one that's been around for a long time is the Log Cabin Shop in Lodi, Ohio. And they also have a good web presence. I built my first rifle from parts with Dixie Gun Works. I built my second one with parts from the Log Cabin Shop. So that's how long they've been around. The third one is kind of the Midway USA for muzzleloaders, and it's called Track of the Wolf. And it's in Minnesota. And it is an outstanding online supplier. And virtually everything I talked about you can find there. And they are very good. And all 3 of those I can recommend with no qualms whatsoever. So, that's the whole story. If you've watched both episodes, you know how to load these babies, how to shoot them. You know how to clean them, how to maintain them. And I hope that's been useful for you. So if it has, you know what to do. Thumbs up. And if you're not a subscriber and you enjoyed this, I certainly hope that you'll consider subscribing. Love to have you. Until next time, bye.